I wanted to share with you the way that I make decisions and let my intuition and my body lead. It's a question that I get asked all the time. How do I, separate the difference between what is something I should be doing, what is good to do, my capacity versus my desires, how to navigate FOMO, and all the things. So, yeah, it's really, really, really simple. So much so that often when it's too simple, the mind can present sometimes a bit of a snapback and tries to desperately overcomplicate it and chirp in with all kinds of wonderful stories and back chat. So that's just something to be aware of, because really we just want to place all of our attention and all of our awareness in our body. So a couple of ground rules in doing this exercise is that the more space that you can give having a right answer or a wrong answer, the better. There is no such thing as wrong or right, because if we zoom all the way out, all paths lead to home. And a core belief that I have worked really hard to integrate into everyday life is just that, she says just that, and then it escapes my brain. It's just that all roads are growth, all obstacles are opportunities to grow, and it's all, life is just always working out for me. So that's just like a really good one that you can just kind of put in your back pocket. But what you've got to remember is, as you kind of this is a practice in essence. So, first and foremost, there is the commitment and the promise, especially when we're talking about rebuilding and befriending the body and actually developing listening and presence to what the body is trying to communicate. There's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be times where the answer comes from a really old historic wound, and there are other times where it's absolutely perfect. So it's not to abandon this practice if something doesn't pan out quite how you thought it would or wanted it to. It's to really just take the rough with the smooth, keep listening, keep tuning in, and just stay in this place of curiosity and devotion, I think is the best way that I can put it. So, ground rules done. Very, very simply, all you're going to listen for is, when you're presented with a question or an opportunity, would I like to go and do this? Would I like to eat that? Should I go to bed? Whatever it is, very simply, you're just going to observe in your body whether it increases energy or it decreases your energy. So another way that we can phrase that is, do we experience a sensation that feels expansive, or do we experience a sensation that feels like a contraction? So, in order to start, you have to have a really clear idea of what your baseline is in this moment. So, what you want to do is just take some nice deep breaths, turn your eyes inwards, and it's just like observing the landscape of your body. You're just really having a look around and noticing the different sensations that are awake and alive in your body today. There really doesn't need to be any judgment or any story. It's just like you're collecting factual data, and you're like, right, this is where we are today. Brilliant. So then we move on to holding the question. or holding the situation, holding the interaction or the person, and you're just noticing what changes. So it's a bit like turning up the volume dial, that you kind of bringing the situation into your field and turning up the volume on it. And it only needs to be like 5%. It doesn't need to be massive. You're just kind of inviting yourself into the space, into the possibility of this experience. And you're just going to notice sensationally in your body what happens and what changes. And very clearly, you will feel an increase in energy, or for myself, that actually feels like all of my energy rises up and out of my head. And if it's the wrong thing to do, it feels like this bubble in my heart just goes all the way down into my sacral, into my pelvis. So everyone's kind of like yes or no in their body is going to feel different. And the more that you do this exercise, more you'll get to actually know the unique language of your body and of your subconscious. So this is exactly why I say to be in a space of being curious. It's a bit like getting to know a new friend. We don't want to assume anything. Actually, we just want to kind of leave things open and just observe, because you know the friend, the body will just naturally just reveal itself as the relationship begins to develop and deepen over time. So that being said, I just want to give you an ever such or slightly small adjustment to that exercise, because there is of course a lot of nuance to the body. Now sometimes we might get like a no, I don't want to do this. And it is useful to slightly rephrase the question to, would this feel good to have done? So it's January in the UK, and for us sole traders, we've got to submit our tax returns on Friday. I've done mine because I just love things like that all day long. But I know a lot of people will put it off and put it off and put it off. So obviously, if you ask yourself in that moment, should I sit down and do my tax return? The body might clearly go, no, thank you. Let's go and busy ourselves with something else to do. And this is where changing the question to like, would this feel good to have done, is a bit like the dance when we parent, where we are kind of gently challenging and also just gently soothing and encouraging. It's not one or the other. And so would this feel good to have done is a slight challenge, because actually it probably would feel good to have done. So then what I'm asking you to do is to just pitch your awareness beyond the task and notice what happens in your body there. And this is kind of like the muscle and the flex that we develop in treatment, especially, for example, if we know that we've got to have a difficult conversation with somebody, and that's bringing up all kinds of threats and triggers to our attachment system, which is something that I personally work a lot with in treatment. So just say, we've got to have a difficult conversation with somebody, we'll pitch the body to after the conversation. And quite often the feeling of relief and space after the uncomfortability is massive, and actually is a sure sign that if we have the capacity and the resilience to do so, to sit in the uncomfortability, to move through that task or move through that experience, and the body is saying afterwards, yes, I'm going to feel so good if we can do this, then that is definitely something that you should be doing, or working towards, if that makes sense. So we have just simply asking and noticing, do I have an increase in energy? Do I experience a decrease in energy? And for those situations where it's slightly more trickier or sticky, asking yourself, would this feel good to have done? And placing it after the situation. If you feel like, and you can experience that expansion and that elevation in your energy, and you have the capacity to be able to hold yourself in the uncomfortability, then definitely give it a go. But very simply, I think this is just such a wonderfully simple way to be able to start tuning back into your intuition and befriending the body. It's just a really, really, simple way that we can begin that process. So there you have it. Let me know how you get on, and if you have any questions, especially if you kind of are feeling into this, more subtler, nuanced aspects of reactions and the body sensations, then drop me a message below. Bye.